One of the most striking features of Mesoamerican culture at all times, at all ages, was the degree of concentration on religious or sacred matters.
El caso de la ciudadela, en donde está rodeado por una muralla y tiene...
In the case of this city, surrounded by a wall with exactly 12 pyramidal platforms in the plaza, and 3 main ones towards the east, the most important side of the complex, the symbolism is very clear to many members of the church.
Strong religious symbolism in Mesoamerica centers on the theme of resurrection.
The Maya maize god was the chief deity who is a dying and resurrecting god, and oftentimes you see him emerging from the earth, and the earth is portrayed in Maya as a turtle, so he's coming forth out of this cracked crevice of the turtle as he's being resurrected.
Although the Mayan resurrection story is in many ways very different from Mormon belief, the idea that a god had to die and be sacrificed and then resurrected to save the world or bring the world into existence shows certain very similar parallels to one another.
So what we see in both the ancient Maya civilization and in the Book of Mormon is the central religious theme of a dying and resurrecting God.
We have in the Book of Mormon several references to the people becoming idolatrous.
There are several times in the Book of Mormon when they're cautioned against worshiping graven images. We find that in Mosiah 12 and 13. It's also in Alma. And when we look at that through the lens of Mesoamerican religions, it seems to make a lot more sense.
In Alma chapter 5, there's this magnificent discourse that talks about spiritual rebirth. Have you received the image of Jesus Christ in your countenance?
We have in Mesoamerica a glyphic phrase that basically talks about receiving the image of a certain god in your countenance, and it ties in with a deity impersonation ritual that was typically done by kings or other high elites, where they would wear this graven mask and literally transform into a certain god. And I think Alma was speaking against that when he asked if you received his image in your countenances, meaning the image of Christ. And rather than telling his people to impersonate certain other gods, that they needed to be Christ-like.
When Benjamin begins his speech, one of the things that he tells the people very specifically is he says, "I am a man." That's a rather strange thing.
I think King Benjamin was actually responding to this concept of divine kingship, and he wanted to let his people know that he wasn't a divine king.
Maya kings were considered to be divine. So one of the things that Benjamin wants to make sure that his people understand is that they know that he is a man.
He's reinforcing his humanity to his people because he doesn't want them to buy into this divine king concept that is surrounding them in the Mesoamerican area.
This happens again when Ammon is asked by Lamoni, "Are you more than a man?" And one of the conversations, one of the critical issues that they have is, are you more than a man? Mesoamerican deities have a class of deities which are gods who have come to the earth, and very clearly they're thinking that this is what this man is.